Today I'm gonna give you 10 super simple carnivore recipes. Hi, I'm Jen. If you're new here, I'm delighted to meet you. And if you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm gonna give you 10 very simple, very quick carnivore recipes that I make all the time. First up is just some basic burger patties. I like to flatten the burger patties with the back of a plate so they're nice and thin, and then I put them in a preheated air fryer at 375 degrees for 3 to 5 minutes on each side. And at any point before cooking, during cooking, or after cooking, you can add salt as desired. I pretty much always have at least a pound of burger patties cooked up and in the fridge or the freezer so that in a pinch, if I need something to eat, I've got something ready to go. Another thing I usually have around the house is bone broth. I like to drink it in the morning just as a nice, warm, soothing drink. I also like to add it to other things like beef soup, and I use it as the liquid for roasting different meats. When I make bone broth, I just use whatever bones I've collected in the freezer, as well as at least one beef bone marrow bone and a few chicken feet. Those things add more collagen and make your bone broth more gelatinous. I like to roast all the bones in the oven at 450 degrees just on a cookie sheet for about 10 minutes. And then I put all the bones in an Instant Pot and fill it with water. Add 1 tablespoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and then put them in the Instant Pot on high pressure for 3 hours. Once it's done, pour the liquid through a strainer and refrigerate it overnight. Once it's cooled, there will be a layer of solidified fat at the top. I like to just sort of peel that off. What you're left with is a jiggly gelatin, which means it's chock full of collagen. When you heat it, it'll liquefy, but you'll still get all the benefits of the collagen. Beef soup is super simple, and I love to have it on a nice cold day. All you do is brown some ground beef on a skillet, and then I like to add ½ ounce of frozen grated liver. That's how I get all my vitamins from the liver, and you can't even hardly taste it in the beef soup. So I put that in there, and then I add ½ a cup of heated bone broth. I just stir it all together, and you have yourself a hearty beef soup. Chicken drumsticks are something nice and different if you're getting sick of red meat. They're so inexpensive, so it's a great addition to a carnivore diet if you're trying to cut costs a little bit. All I do is salt them liberally and then put them in a preheated air fryer at 400 degrees for about 16 minutes total, flipping halfway. Chicken wings are almost exactly the same as the chicken drumsticks, just something a little bit different, a little bit more fatty because there's more skin to meat ratio, and it's a nice snack for something like a Super Bowl party or a movie night or something like that. Just like chicken drumsticks, all I do is pat them dry, add some salt, and then throw them in the air fryer for about 15 to 20 minutes, flipping halfway, and the air fryer was preheated at 400 degrees, and you cook at 400 degrees the whole time. Lately, I've been really craving soft boiled eggs. It's just nice and gooey and creamy, that yolk, and I just love it. To make soft boiled eggs in an air fryer, all you need to do is preheat the air fryer to 250 degrees, and then put your eggs directly in the air fryer basket. Cook them for about 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how done you want them to be. And then when you remove them from the air fryer, you'll put them directly into an ice bath to cool off until they're cool enough to touch. They're fairly easy to peel straight out of the ice bath, but the less time you cook them, the more the white will stick to the shell, so just keep that in mind. I just cut them in half and add salt to taste. Flanken ribs are one of my newest obsessions. They're so meaty and fatty and delicious. I really like to season these flanken ribs with both regular salt and smoked salt. It just pushes it over the top and makes them so delicious. Just put them in a preheated air fryer at 400 degrees for a total of about 10 to 14 minutes, flipping halfway. I cook lamb chops just the same way that I cook a steak. Take it from frozen and put it directly into the air fryer. I like to cook it at 400 degrees. It was also preheated at 400 degrees, and I cook it for about 8 minutes. Then I open the drawer, add some salt, flip it, add salt to the other side, and then I put it back in for another 8 minutes. Now after that time, if it doesn't look like it's done quite to your liking, just put it back in for a few more minutes. Fat trimmings are one of my favorite sort of carnivore accessories. I love to eat them along with other meat. What I think is easiest is to cut your fat trimmings up into small chunks and then freeze them until you're ready to eat them. Then when you're ready, place those frozen chunks directly into the air fryer preheated at 400 degrees and cook them for 6 to 7 minutes. Then check them and see if they're crispy enough for your liking, and if they're not, just put them back in for a few more minutes. Then when you take them out, sprinkle them with salt, and you can honestly eat them plain. They're delicious, or you can serve them alongside some meat, especially if it's more of a lean meat that just needs a little bit more fat. Beef jerky is without a doubt my favorite kind of snack or travel food, specifically brisket jerky. I like to buy a beef brisket flat because it's easier for me to slice myself, but you can also ask the butcher to slice it for you. If you do have the butcher do it, I'd recommend asking them not to trim off the extra fat. The fat is what makes it so delicious. Slice it as thin as you can, salt it liberally, and then just place it in a single layer on dehydrator trays. Then you put it in the dehydrator at 165 degrees for about 4 hours. Brisket jerky will keep in the fridge for about a week, but honestly, it never lasts me that long because it's too tasty. If you do need to store it though, you can keep it in the freezer for a long, long time. Notice the only thing I used to season any of this was salt, specifically Redmond real salt. It's so delicious, and I'll promise you I get so much flack on YouTube for not using enough seasoning, but the salt is all I need. It's so good. If you haven't tried it, you must. So if you like this video and you found it helpful, please like and subscribe and share it with anyone else you think might benefit. The last thing I'll ask you to do is look me up on Instagram. I'm active there every single day. I'd love to hear how you tried any of these recipes and what you thought.